today, I started to break out with the sweats. And here's why. I have to have a certain thing that I pull up on my computer in order to connect into everybody else on the show. And for some reason, the engineer who set that up, for some reason, that automatic link has disappeared. So every day I have to bother either Doc or Max to send me another link. And I said, I've got to figure out exactly how to do that, man. We'll do that later on. And Sheri said, no, we're going to do it right now. That's where the sweat began. Because it was like, I'm back in middle school. I heard that voice of Mrs. Ferguson, you know? I went, okay. And go over to the top of the screen. You see the three dots. Pull the three dots down. A second window will open up.
But you did it. You did it.
I did it. And now it's there, and it's fine. And I said at that point, after spending almost 2 weeks with my wife overseas, I got to start doing some more stuff. And everybody laughed. And I didn't say stuff. I said the word that you probably have figured out. And here's what happened. And I think there were a lot of men in the same situation. She booked the trip. She had this folder. She had when we're getting on the plane, which plane, where the gate is going to be, where the hotel is going to be, who's going to pick us up when we get to this location or that location. What time does the train arrive? What time does it leave the next day? What's the hotel address? All of these things. So it was like she is literally leading. She's got that great big suitcase, which weighs about 900 pounds. And she's leading, and she's tall, and she's blonde. And I'm just there.
And you're just shuffling along behind going,
I'm shuffling.
What's the Wi-Fi password, Mary?
Yeah. That's exact. And we would get into the hotel, and I would forget to ask downstairs, did you get what the Wi-Fi? It's 93781, and the hotel's name. Oh, okay, thank you. And I became smaller and smaller and smaller. And then it happened. It was a frustrating day. And she got a phone call from her son. And she got a phone call from her ex, who's dealing with something with the children. And she just said, why do I do everything? And as a guy, I became so tiny. I became teeny tiny. She could have picked me up and put me on the nightstand. And I just said to myself, you just have to start doing more. And my excuse used to be, she just does it so fast. Like if it's a computer thing, I said, show me how to do. I don't have time for that. That I just showed you. And then she leaves. So I have got to get it together a lot more and start doing stuff. You know, even doing a reservation, if we're going out to dinner, you know, maybe we go out to dinner once a week. I say, let me call over to the restaurant. You don't have to do that. Nobody does that anymore.
Open table. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah. She's
all of a sudden she's on. What's that thing?
Open table.
Open table. She's blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Oh yeah. We got it. I got it at 7:30, and then says nothing. You know. And it took her like 15 seconds. I got it at 7:30, and then she goes off. And I'm standing there, you know, with right in my hand. And what happened? What just happened?
And then she comes back into the room and goes, that's not how you hold it. Fixes it,
right,
exactly. Leaves the room, goes off to the next thing.
No, you're exactly right.
I know I'm married too. Believe me.
So, you know, I get this whole thing doing this job. I get this whole thing. But a quote came across my screen the other day, and it dovetailed into what we're talking about here. And the quote was this: if you have an issue, get a man to talk about it. If you want it addressed, get a woman, and she'll fix it. And I am not one of those guys that's going to say, we're all that way. It's just, they're so much better and blah, blah. They're, 58% of college graduates are women. I'm not that guy. Guys do a lot of good stuff, and I've done a lot of good stuff, but I have allowed myself to slip. And you know what I said to her? I did a pronouncement. I said, okay, all of that's behind us. I'm going to start doing more stuff. And I didn't use the word stuff. And she went, uh-huh.
As I'm listening to you, I'm thinking to myself, we went to Japan and we came back. And the only thing I think I was actually in charge of was the snacks that we carried on the plane. Because listen, I tell people say, well, how much were the tickets? I said, we finally found a pretty good deal on that. Well, Carla stayed on the computer every day looking. And, she must have spent 40 hours trying to find an affordable ticket that didn't leave at the craziest time. And everywhere we would land, I'm like, and they would say to me, can I see your passport? And I'd go, hold on, Carla, you got the passport? Yeah. She trusted me with the snacks. Okay. Right. I didn't have the passport. Right. When we people say, where all of y'all camping? I'll say where we've been, but I got no idea where we're going because Carla is making reservations. We go rolling into Ocean Lakes a couple of weeks ago. We're rolling in, and I'm like, she goes, no, go to the left. Don't stop here. Put this tag in the window. They know where we're going. And I'm like, okay. And I'm just driving the truck. You know what I'm saying? And but here's what gets me. I haven't done any of that, and we're out to eat dinner. And here's what I get. Lean over your plate because you're going to get something on your shirt. You always do. And then I'm like, I wouldn't lean over my plate for nothing. I get me a big old spoonful of chowder and I'm bringing it to my lips and half of it goes on the shirt. And she goes, I told you, lean over your plate. And then she demonstrates to me. She holds her plate up. She goes, see how I do it? And I'm like, I'm not an what are you doing? I said, what's the
word, Sheri?
Look at me. I've been eating for years.
When somebody wants you to remain a baby, what's that word? I can never pronounce.
Infantilizing you.
Infantilizing. Yes. Yeah, that's exactly right. I know what you mean about you're just driving and she's telling you where to drive. Try that. Try that in Sardinia because she's got the GPS. And I'm just steering and braking. That's all I'm doing. and I said to myself, don't you mess up the steering and braking. Don't you mess it up. And I'm doing great because it's kind of a rural country. There's like one city we went into and parking is a nightmare. And I actually parallel parked in a very tight place. So I'm doing great. But the third freaking day, I went rogue and took a left and started going down a one-way. All of a sudden, I looked up, and there were like 5 Fiats coming at me. And then I can't trust myself to just be John Wayne and say nothing. I go, oh, and I throw it into reverse. And you hear those words, oh, here we go. Oh, the entire 3 days of flawless steering and braking has been erased.
It's Bob and Sheri, the podcast.
Max has had the same computer that he runs all of the entire show and every podcast off of for how many years now? About 3-4 years?
Something
Max?
like that, yeah.
And we've had it upgraded a couple of times because, as you know, Tony Garcia, who we work with, is famously thrifty. Tony's gangster name is Valpak, okay? Like, he is famously thrifty, and he doesn't like to spend money, and that's a good thing because I'm the opposite. I'm over here going, Tony, you need a new keyboard. Why don't you buy a new keyboard? And Tony goes, I'm going to buy a new keyboard. And then he goes to the pawn shop and buys a gamer keyboard that lights up and plays noise. And the only way he can make it work is by hiding it under a cardboard box. So, like, Tony's really good at saving money, and I'm not really great at saving money. And Max needs a new computer, and we find ourselves at a bit of a stalemate because I'm like, Max needs a new computer, and I think we should buy one from a store, not from the trunk of someone's car.
There you go with your fancy ways again.
They think you're kidding about this.
I'm not. Tony's like, I know he needs a computer, godmother, but hear me out. My neighbor had a house fire, and I think there's some stuff in the garage I could salvage. Tony, if the man doesn't have a computer, we don't have a show. So I told Doc and Max yesterday, find the computer and find one that doesn't just do the job, but that has a little bit of room to grow, as though I'm buying Max new school shoes. Like, they're expensive and you're a big boy and I need to get some money out of these. So get him the computer he needs, Doc, but with a little bit of wiggle room. Because this is the time of year, isn't it? When you get your new school shoes and all that crap.
Does that still happen?
Yes, my mom. Well, I don't know about now, but my mom, she would always say, okay, where's your toe? No, we need a bigger size because we can put some toilet paper in the toe of them. That'll leave you some room to grow. Okay, that'll leave you some room to grow. And we were but she would get me good shoes because I had to buy the Chubby Husky jeans. What a name for jeans. Chubby Husky. Okay, and they think the husky part is better if you put a picture of a dog. No, it's not helping any. And you only make them in one color. It's brown. Okay, brown. Yeah, right. They're stiff. They got double knees because you're not only fat, you're clumsy too. You're falling down everywhere. So they got double knees on them.
I haven't seen one of those in years. Oh my gosh.
But she would make it up to me. She says, I know you can only get these ugly brown pants, but you pick out whatever shoe you want. So for my tennis shoes, I would get PF Flyers because with those, you could run faster and jump higher because the commercial said so.
That's right.
And I could get Buster Brown shoes, and I could get them in sort of like a penny loafer type situation.
Yeah.
So, she let me spend the money on the shoes because she knew one pair of Chubby Husky double-kneed pants is going to last for 3 years because I got them big enough that I could grow into them. So, she was good to go on that. But, that grow into is a story of my life. Ugh.
I love that you were allowed to have fancy brand name shoes. I think that might be the only fancy brand name thing you had, right?
Oh, it was. Trust me. Yeah. We were very frugal. But
I wonder if that's a thing now where kids get new school clothes, including a new pair of shoes, because it almost sounds like something out of Coal Miner's Daughter. You know what I mean? Oh, yeah.
Always did it.
In the summer, we didn't need no shoes, but come winter, we'd sell the hog and we'd get a new pair of shoes. I mean, I don't know if kids still do that.
We would drive over to Sears to get this stuff. And man, I'd be looking at these clothes and they were just beautiful colors and stuff. And my mom would say, quit looking at that. You're too fat for that. Come on over here. Chubby Husky. Yeah, you're too fat for that. Come on.
I am surprised you don't have an eating disorder. Honest to God, with that.
I think I do, but it went the other way.
Yeah. Hey, you're better off.